The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Tuesday night. It is Two Beards Talking. I'm Daniel Sanders, and joining me tonight, special guest. I do appreciate him coming on the air with us, Mr. Jim Bell, half of Pot Talk that comes on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Jim, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
Excellent. So we've got we got a few topics to discuss this evening, and I'm really glad that you're joining me because I want to get your point of view on some of these things. Now, I live, as most of my listeners know, I live in the state of Alabama, and I have no idea what Alabama is trying to do right now. I think, the rest of the country is trying to progress and move forward, and it seems like Alabama is just wanting to kind of just take a step back, and just they're comfortable with where they're at, and I'm not happy about it. And of course, the biggest issue that we're discussing is the abortion bill that Alabama just recently passed, which it's the strictest in the nation. It's horrible, really, the way they've done it. They've basically outlawed all abortion in the state of Alabama, and pretty much the only case where an abortion would be allowed is if the mother's life is at serious risk. I've got an article here from Huffington Post discussing the article. Jim, I want to get your take on this. I know it's been all over the news and everything nationwide. I know y'all have been hearing about it up there. I want to know what y'all's take on it is. What's your take?
I'm choking to death.
God, I didn't know it was that bad of a bill. Good Lord.
Yeah, trying to swallow it. Now, my take is they went too far when they let babies be born before they abort them. Right. Alabama just took it the opposite way. Right. No exceptions for rape and incest. Like you said, there's one for it's the harms the life of the mother.
You're right.
I didn't even think they had that.
Yes. And even then, it's got to be, you pretty much have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to prove that carrying this child to term and giving birth to this child is putting your life at serious risk. Now this is the article from Huffington Post. It says Alabama's strict new abortion law is deeply unpopular. There's a simple reason for that. Most Americans don't hold absolutist opinions on abortion, and even fewer hold views as unwaveringly anti-abortion as the legislation itself. Now, I'm going to go ahead at this point. I'm going to go ahead and give my personal take on abortion. I personally am not against abortion to an extent. If, as it states, if the mother's life would be put at risk by carrying the child to term and trying to give birth, or if the carrying to term could put the child's life at risk, then absolutely, I think a woman has the right to make that decision. In the cases of incest and rape, again, I think a woman has the right to make that decision. Where I draw the line with it is women who use it as a means of birth control. That is where, and it's sad to say, but there are women out there who do that.
They can only have so many abortions, and then they can't get pregnant again anymore.
Right.
It screws up their reproductive.
Right. And me personally, my take on it is if you get your first abortion with or without cause, then if you come in for a second abortion, at that point, if the abortion is done through, while the doctor's in there, he needs to be snipping some cords and all this other crap. Because, like I said, there are women who use it as a means of birth control. I also have a problem with government-funded abortions. These abortion clinics that run off government taxpayer dollars. If you want to have an abortion, if you are able to have an abortion, it needs to be on your own dime. That is your choice. You need to be financially responsible for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like you said, they use it as a birth control. I don't know about you, but if I could get pregnant, that would be the last thing I'd want to be. So if I had sex and the condom broke, or he didn't use one, or I was too drunk to do anything, there's always the morning after pill. Why don't they make that more available?
Right. Absolutely.
That way you know you're not going to get pregnant.
Now, nationwide, and it's not just liberals and pro-lifers. There's liberals, pro-choicers. There's pro-lifers out there that think the way this bill is set up is it's ridiculous. The abortion bill, which Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed into law last week, is the strictest in the nation, making it a felony in the state for a doctor to perform an abortion in nearly all cases. So, if you're a doctor working at a women's health clinic in the state of Alabama, with this law having been signed into effect, if you give a patient an abortion, you can be charged with a felony.
Yeah, they're saying up to life in prison.
Yeah, 99 years, I think, is what it was. I also, if I remember correctly, I read that even if you were to go out of state and have an abortion, you could still be facing penalties for it. Like I said, I don't know what direction Alabama is trying to go here, but it's definitely the wrong direction. I consider myself on the fence when it comes to the pro-life, pro-choice argument. Because, like I said, I don't have a problem with an abortion in certain cases.
I think it should be like the heart bill law. That gives them 2 months to decide whether they're pregnant or not. And if they say they don't know in 2 months, that's bullshit. They can go get it. If they miss the period once, they should go to a doctor to find out. Or if, you know what I mean? And then do it right then and there before the heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. You're talking about the fetal heartbeat bill that Georgia passed.
Yes.
And, that's the thing about it. It's everybody, and it's no secret. Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, the whole southeastern region of the country is known as the Bible Belt. I call Alabama the buckle that holds the pants up for the Bible Belt. Everything that everybody does, Alabama pushes it a step further. They make it just a little bit tighter. It's just, like I said, I don't know the direction they're trying to go here, but it's the wrong direction. Absolutely.
No, they know if they ask for the worst that they're going to end up settling for the middle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's why they took such a tough stand. Because they know they're going to get blowback. But if they give in, in the middle, then they're going to want more. So they're starting out with the worst.
Right. Now, it says here, the law also owes its unpopularity in part to the fact that it's managed to draw the disapproval of a significant minority, even among groups that are generally anti-abortion rights. A quarter of Americans who say abortion should be illegal in most or all cases also disapprove of the law, as do about a third of Republicans, self-described evangelical Christians, and self-described conservatives. Now, that, if those numbers are correct, and I truly believe they are, then it when you draw the ire of the people who are supposed to be on your side, then you know you've gone a step too far. I think this is an instance of Alabama tried to follow suit with what Georgia did, but like I said, Alabama wanted to tighten up that belt just a little bit tighter, and, well, they're giving people 2 months to have an abortion. We're just going to cut out abortions completely, with the exception of this one particular extreme case. It just... I'm personally embarrassed to say that I'm from this state with everything that's going on. It's no secret. I've said it on there many times. I myself am not a Christian. I'm agnostic, and I think Alabama focuses too much on what the Bible says and takes it as literal. I mean, what? Well, I'll let you take the floor on that. What are your thoughts on that?
I just went and made a drink, so I really wasn't paying attention.
Well, I had made the comment that, I've said on there many times, I'm not a Christian, I'm agnostic, and I think Alabama, they take what's written in the Bible too literally, and they try and use that to
legislate.
Yes, to legislate.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that's why I was born Roman Catholic, but I gave up the church after I got something in the 7th grade, and after that I stopped going to church. I just had no interest in it.
And I was the same way.
I believe in a higher power, but I don't believe there's a God.
Right. So you pretty much have the same views that I do. You believe in a higher power. Me personally, I think forms of organized religion, well, I won't say all forms, but the biggest majority of them, Islam, Christianity, all of those, I think they are nothing more than a man-made construct in an effort to control the masses.
Right, exactly. The Bible's like the law book.
Right. So, and I'm sure that's a pretty unpopular opinion. I may get some pretty harsh feedback on that, but hey, it is what it is. So,
but that's exactly you use fear to control the masses.
Exactly.
And that's what the Bible did. It put the fear of God in you.
And like you, as a child, preteen into my teenage years, I went to Baptist church. I was baptized, so on and so forth. But then I just started noticing a lot of inaccuracies with things. One of the biggest things that I've always argued is, God's will cannot be changed. It says in the Bible, God's will is, and it cannot be changed. So God knows what I'm going to do before I even know what option is going to be presented to me, and he knows what choice I'm going to make because it's his will that I make that choice. He knew
he's
when
going to get mad at you and lay the wrath on you if you disobey him.
Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at is, he knew when I was 15 years old, before I ever knew, that somebody was going to offer me a cigarette, and I was going to have the choice to take it or not take it. And he knew before the choice was presented, I was going to take it. It was his will. But so many people say, well, no, that's not how it works. You have the choice. You can make the choice yourself. But no, it's God's will that I was going to do this, and God's will cannot be changed. So I do not have I don't have the luxury of free will. So your argument is invalid. It's contradicting itself. But like I said, I grew up in my teenage years in the church, Baptist church. I was baptized, and I kind of had an awakening. I would say around about the time that I joined the military, I had an awakening, and like I said, I've developed the thought now that organized religion is a man-made construct meant to control the masses. So I have no problem whatsoever stepping forward and calling somebody out on crap like this. Because I know 100%, well, I won't say 100% that I know it. In my mind, this has nothing to do with law and everything to do with religion.
You mean the abortion bill?
Yeah, the abortion bill. Yeah, has
right.
nothing.
It is
100% religion based.
But they're going to use the law to test it out. They want to bring it in front of the court and get another shot at Roe versus Wade. Which to me, like I said, the heartbeat's one thing. If these women can't tell in 2 months if they're pregnant, you know what I mean? And if they got any suspicion at all, go to a doctor.
Right. And
they can do a blood test.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because it literally just popped in my head as you were saying that. There was a show that used to come on, I think it was called I Didn't Know I Was Pregnant. And it shows reenactments, kind of like that show Rescue 911 that William Shatner hosted back in the day. It shows reenactments of these women who supposedly went a full term carrying child and had no idea they were pregnant, showed no signs, did not have the morning sickness or the weird food cravings, none of that.
They couldn't tell with a kid kicking.
Yeah. And I think it was really nothing more than a show meant for entertainment value. I think it was 100% bullshit.
Yeah, it sounds.
Because I've known. I'm at the age now. I'm 32 years old. I'm at that age where a lot of my friends from high school are getting pregnant or have already been pregnant and had kids and everything. There were 48 people in my graduating class. Half of them, at least, were female. Every single one of them that I know of that had a kid all had the typical pregnancy symptoms. Started out with the missed period, then came the morning sickness, and then the baby bump started to show, and then the weird food, all of it. I've never met, in all of my years, I've never met one female who would fall into that category of I didn't know I was pregnant. So maybe I'm just hanging out with the wrong people. I don't know. So, but yes, we're gonna move on. I'm going to end up. I'll end up rambling on about that all day long. Now, again, this entire show is all about Alabama and how stupid everything is down here. This next topic. Alabama is one of 5 states in this country that does not have a state lottery. I know, if I'm not mistaken, Alaska is another one.
Is that because they still outlaw gambling, or just not?
Yes. Gambling is still outlawed in the state of Alabama. It is still in our state constitution that gambling of any kind is illegal. And in order to approve a state lottery, they would first have to amend the constitution for the state. Now, we actually just had it brought up within the last 3 or 4 months, I think it was, that we were trying to pass a state lottery. And it made it to the state Senate, was passed, went on to the House of Representatives, and it just came out today that the bill failed on a procedural vote within the House. The article that I have here is from a local news source here in the state. It's an NBC affiliate. It says, a bill to start a state lottery in Alabama failed on a procedural vote in the House of Representatives. A bill needs to pass a procedural vote in order for lawmakers to vote on the bill officially. A procedural vote is also needed when the budgets have not been passed. The bill could be brought up again during the session, but it is unclear when. So, as it stands right now, that bill is kind of in limbo. But right now it's leaning towards a no. It's not going to happen. And I cannot, for the life of me, figure out, well, I can, because again, it goes back to religion. You look at all the states that have a state lottery. If I recall correctly, you're up in Massachusetts. They have a state lottery up there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how is y'all's roadways up there?
They're poor, and they've always been poor. They didn't do anything with the state lottery. State lottery gives to the schools and cities. All right. It doesn't do the highway transportation. They take that money too and spend it on other stuff, and they just let the roads go to shit.
See, I wonder how many other states are like that, because that's exactly the way it is here in Alabama. Now, how do y'all do you know where Massachusetts ranks nationally as far as education goes?
Alabama, no.
No, Massachusetts. Do you know where they rank nationally?
It used to be A-rated when I was in school in the 60s. Now I think they dumbed it all down.
Let's see here. I'm going to look it up real quick. Let's see here. So I Googled Massachusetts National Education Rating, and it brings up, all the list of websites and everything, but then it also asks, it also has that section where it says people also ask. The first question, which states rank highest in education? And if you click on that, Massachusetts is at the very top of the list. High school graduation rate, now that I can talk, is 87.5%. And then just below it, okay, all right, there we go. I got to read further on before I speak again. 87.5%. It's the 13th highest in the nation for high school graduation rate. That is really difficult to say for some reason. New Jersey ranks second in the nation with 90.1%. Now, does the state lottery totally affect that? I don't know. I really don't think it does. I think education is more based on an individual's desire to learn.
It's all corrupt now with the way they teach the kids. They indoctrinate them and shit.
Oh, I agree.
And they give them tests that any idiot can pass. That's why they got more people passing and graduating.
Right.
Because they make it so that does. It doesn't make them competitive. You know what I mean? They don't go by competition or anything. They just go by. Now they're talking about the neighborhood you grew up in. That's going to be a reason to go into college. That's going to be one of the criterias.
You know, I don't buy into that whole social notion that how you're brought up and where you're brought up affects how your life is going to turn out. I think every individual is in control of their own life, and they make their own life.
Exactly. The best we can do is hand out the tools.
Exactly. I know there was a previous episode where Matt and I talked about a school down in Louisiana where they have no state funding for this school. They have no state funding for this school. All of the staff at this school are volunteer. There's even one class where they don't have a teacher. The students are literally teaching one another from a college level math book that they find online. And they were just brought up in the news recently. Every single student, every single senior from the class of 2018 or 2019, I can't remember. Every single one of them was accepted to a college somewhere. I think 13 of them were accepted to Ivy League schools. 100% college acceptance in a school that has nothing but volunteer staff, no government funding. And this is in a low-income area. I think if I remember correctly, it was a suburb of Lafayette, Louisiana. So you can't tell me, oh, well, he was raised in the ghettos, so he's not going to amount to anything. I don't buy that for 1 second. I think it's based on each individual's own willpower and their willingness to put forth the effort. Now, does the lottery help? I'll say absolutely yes. I think the lottery does help if the funds from it are allocated appropriately. I don't think they would do that here. And the reason why I say that is the state of Alabama has for so long for our funding for repairing the roads, all this other, we just had a bill passed that increased that levied a 10-cent gas hike, 10-cent gas tax here in the state. And it was under the pretense that extra money is going to go towards repairing the roads. I don't think it will. I don't think it will.
Guarantee you it won't.
Because every time they come up with something, we're going to levy a tax to increase funding in the state to go to this department to try and fix this or to help out with this. Money ends up missing out of it. They're basically they're robbing themselves.
Exactly. And giving their own little projects.
Yeah. So I would love to see a state lottery here because, and this is the other thing that pisses me off about it. If I go, I live about 45 minutes from the Georgia state line. If I go across state lines into Georgia and I buy a lottery ticket, if I win any significant earnings in the lottery, first, I've got to take the option of lump sum or monthly payment for however many years. If I take the lump sum, I lose a little bit of that. Then Georgia State is going to take out taxes on it. But then Alabama is also holding their hands out, collecting taxes on it. They don't want the lottery, but they want to be able to reap the benefits of their state citizens playing the lottery elsewhere. And I don't agree with that.
You mean if they win a lottery that's out of state?
Yes, if I go to Georgia and I win $100 million playing Mega Ball, after I get my lump sum and I pay Georgia their taxes on it, then I have to pay taxes on it to Alabama.
I say that's bullshit.
Yeah. My argument is
you already got taxed on it. You can't be taxed twice for the same thing.
I agree with that. I also take it from the standpoint of, this money was won straight up gambling. Well, gambling's illegal in the state of Alabama. You can't tax illegal monies.
Right.
I don't know a single drug dealer in this state that 1099s themselves every year. I would love to see that just once. I would love to see that. The local meth dealer go into the damn CPA office at tax time, turn in their 1099. I made $100,000 selling meth. I would love to see that, but yeah, you cannot, in my opinion, if it's illegal, you cannot collect taxes on it.
Right. That's got to be against the law anyways. That's definitely a case for a court.
Absolutely. And, it's a case that I would fight if I ever won a significant amount of money. And I personally, given the argument and the facts and everything, I personally think that's a case I could win.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, yeah, I can't for the life of me figure out why because we are one of the lowest ranking states in the nation as far as education goes. And I don't understand why the avenue is there to try and make things better. I know I've already said that, all of the money that would be allocated to go to education wouldn't go. Maybe some of it would. If we could bump up from, I think the article I just looked at said we are 44th in the nation overall, ranking 42nd for quality of education. Yeah. So we're 42nd in the nation for quality of education. And let's say...
That means you're not indoctrinating your kids.
I mean, not the way other states are doing it.
Right. They're not bringing out socialist. You know what I mean? That's all these teenagers coming out of school now. They think socialism's the in thing.
Oh, yeah. God, Jesus.
That's because the teachers fill their heads full of shit. It's going to be utopia. And all it does is make everybody poor.
Exactly. I cannot find one instance in the course of human history where socialism has not resulted in, like what we're seeing in Venezuela. It just, this history tells us it does not work. So, but yeah, no, they are indoctrinating children down here. They're just not doing it with politics. They're doing it with religion.
Do you have alternative schools they can go to, charter schools? Or the state won't allow them?
I truthfully don't know. And when you say alternative school, the first thing that pops in my head, the only alternative school I knew was basically, it was kind of like an in-school suspension, except instead of staying in my school, I had to go to this other school for 5 days a week, however long my sentence was, and I had to sit in a little cubby facing the wall, could not talk to anybody, nothing.
Some of the shit they come up with.
And I'm not gonna lie. I think I hold the record for most times going to that alternative school in a single school year. I I also think I hold the record for youngest student being sent to that school. It got to the point where they sent me to that school so much that, and I actually heard this with my own ears. I'm sitting in the principal's office. He calls over there to let them know that he has 2 students he's sending over there. And the teacher at the A school, without missing a beat, comes up and says, let me guess, one of them's Daniel Sanders. And it was at that point I thought to myself, maybe I've been up there just one too many times.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can honestly say this. You were required to complete your work 100% correct. You cannot miss a single math problem, anything. If you do, you have to redo the entire assignment. And had it not been for that, there were probably, I probably would not have graduated. I probably would have eventually wound up getting either aged out or just dropping out and getting my GED.
I got thrown out at the end of the 11th grade, but I got my GED before my class graduated. I got a GED before.
So yeah, I actually think that school, despite my the issues that I had been thinking I was a hard ass and everything, I actually think going to that school benefited me a little bit. So yeah, now as far as charter schools and everything, I haven't really looked into it. What you were saying about these tests that they're given to kids that they have to pass and all. When I was in my 8th grade year, we have what they call the graduation exams. There's 4 tests that you have to take, and you have to pass all 4 tests in order to be eligible to graduate high school, on top of maintaining your GPA and everything else. Right before my 9th grade year, they changed the graduation exam. They made it harder. And when I say made it harder, I mean they required all of the teachers to take the new exam. Half the teachers in the state could not pass that exam. And I remember thinking to myself, well, shit, these are the people that are supposed to be teaching me what I need to know to pass this exam.
Exactly.
And they can't pass it?
It's hypocrisy.
What the hell am I going to do? I wound up passing all 4 tests in my 9th grade year. I didn't have to worry about it the rest of the time. So, yeah, it just...
I was good at taking tests. I didn't take notes when I was in public schools. When I did go get my electronics degree, then I took notes. I paid attention. You know what I mean? Because I paid for it.
Right.
But when I was in school, I just listened to what the teacher would say, and I'd retain it. And when it came to taking tests, I got B+, A-. If I tried or studied or took notes, I would have been an A+. I just was too lazy.
Right. And I was the same way. I didn't. I failed my 9th grade algebra class with a 9. Because I just didn't care. And it would piss my teacher off more than anything, because I would come in the first half of the class, I would read a book, and then the bell would ring, we'd go to lunch, we'd have to come back for the second half of the class, and I would put my head down and go to sleep. The teacher would walk around, hand out an assignment, and she'd wake me up. Mr. Sanders, are you going to do this assignment? I'd look at it. Nope. Put my head back down and go back to sleep. But then every Friday, we took a test on what we'd done throughout the week. First thing in the morning, I'd take the test and I'd pass it.
And that piss her off?
Oh, it would piss her off more than anything. And I remember...
She didn't accuse you of cheating?
No, she never accused me of cheating. But I remember I got into a pissing contest with her towards the end of the year, because I already knew I was failing her class. I was going to have to retake the class. And she called me out in front of the entire class and said, Mr. Sanders, you better not come back to my classroom next year. And I looked at her and called her out in front of the entire class. And I said, well, I suggest then that, you don't fail me, because that's the only way I'm not coming back to this class next year. So, that's going to be on you.
So she passed you?
No, she still failed me. And then recommended that I get put into another teacher's class. So, but yeah, I think the lottery here would benefit us here in the state as far as education goes. I think it would benefit us a little bit. I don't think you're going to see Alabama jump from low 40s up into the teens over the next 10 years if we do pass the lottery. But I do think it would benefit us some. I think we might jump up from the low 40s to maybe the mid 30s, which would be a huge jump in my opinion.
Well, it seems like all the state schools, the public schools, they're all run by liberal activists. You know what I mean? And that ain't good for the kids. Look what they're bringing. Look at what they're graduating.
Right.
Socialism is great. Bernie Sanders, pay for my college.
Yeah, that,
Gimme, free. That's all they're hearing. And that's the indoctrination.
Exactly. And the thing on that, when I filed my taxes this year, I was sitting down with my CPA, and she was telling me it's 10%. The minimum is 10% federal, and I think she said 5% state, if I'm not mistaken. So for a total of 15% of my check goes towards taxes. And I may be wrong on those numbers. But if we were to go into something that we offered free healthcare, free education, well, first and foremost, none of that is free. You may not be paying for it out of pocket up front. You're paying for it. It's the whole, if you don't see it, you don't miss it. Now, instead of 15, 20% in taxes, now you're paying 45% in taxes. Almost half of your check is going towards taxes, and it's paying for somebody else to have this medical procedure done. It's paying for somebody else to get this liberal arts degree that's never going to benefit them in any way.
See, I left Massachusetts and moved up to New Hampshire, and there is no sales tax up here. So that's one of the great things, because in Mass, like I said, even if you never pay taxes, you end up paying the state income tax. Not income tax, sales tax.
Right.
And like I said, New Hampshire doesn't have one.
Okay. Oh, hell, I may need to look in New Hampshire then.
Cost of living up here is pretty cheap.
Huh. Well, I might have to look into that even further. Now, we're running out of time here, so I'm gonna move on to this last topic, and this just kind of puts the nail in the coffin. I can't talk tonight for some reason. Nail in the coffin as far as just how overall fucked up Alabama is. And the article that I have here is from AL.com. The headline of the article reads, Alabama Public Television refuses to air Arthur episode with gay wedding. Now, the episode first aired about a week ago on May 13th. And it depicts one of the show's characters, the teacher, Mr. Ratburn, came out as gay and got married to his partner. It says here, Alabama Public Television chose not to air PBS's Arthur episode that included a same-sex marriage. APT preempted the episode by showing a rerun of Arthur. Now, again, this goes back to the buckle on the Bible Belt. We got to tighten it up around here. Don't want the pants falling
that's
down.
when they go back to the Bible instead of common sense.
Yeah. you know, I know it says in the Bible, and I'm pretty much paraphrasing here, summarizing, because I don't know. It's been so long since I've actually read the Bible. But you hear everybody say the Bible says that marriage is between a man and a woman. Now, me personally, I won't say that I 100% agree with that sentiment. I agree with it for my own personal reasons. But I'm of the opinion, do what makes you happy. You do you. You go live your life and be happy. And everything's hunky-dory. You want to go have sex with... if you're a guy and you want to go have sex with a man, that's not my thing, but hey, whatever floats your boat. If you feel like you're a woman trapped in a man's body, okay, don't know why anybody would ever think that, but again,
that's a good topic.
You do you. So, Mike McKenzie, director of programming at Alabama Public Television, said APT was notified by WGBH and PBS in mid-April about the episode titled Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone, and decided to show a rerun. McKenzie said APT has no plans to air the episode at a later date. So again, we're letting religion dictate what happens around here.
It's not just religion, it's morality, I guess. Their idea of morals.
This isn't a... yes, this is a children's show. I think the target audience for this show is like the 7 to 10-year-old range. This isn't a... We don't want children to be exposed to this because they don't understand it. We don't want children to be exposed to this because we don't want to have to explain to them why we think it's a bad thing. And this is a quote from Mr. McKenzie. Parents have trusted Alabama Public Television for more than 50 years to provide children's programs that entertain, educate, and inspire. More importantly, although we strongly encourage parents to watch television with their children and talk about what they have learned afterwards, parents trust that their children can watch APT without their supervision. We also know that children who are younger than the, quote, target audience for Arthur also watch the program. So, again, I don't think it's a... children aren't going to understand it. It's we don't want children to understand it. It goes on to say... right. It goes on to say, APT previously pulled an episode of Arthur in 2005 when Buster, a bunny character in Arthur, visited a girl who had 2 mothers. And then it has another quote. Our feeling is that we basically have a trust with parents about our programming. This program doesn't fit into that. Alabama Public Television's executive then director Alan Pizzato told AL.com in 2005. Obviously talking about that episode with 2 mothers. So, it's like I said, we don't want children to understand this. We are trying to indoctrinate our children based on the Bible, and this does not go with what the Bible says. And again, I'm all for if and when I do have children in the future, if my child comes to me and says, Dad, my friend Jimmy invited me over to his house and he has 2 dads. Why doesn't he have a dad and a mom? Well, little Timmy, sometimes people don't. Sometimes men would rather be with men, and sometimes women would rather be with women. It's just how they feel.
And I'm sure that's just going to confuse the shit out of them.
Yeah, and and I'm talking about, when little Timmy is 6, 7 years old. I'm not going to go into full bore detail about homosexuality and transgenderism and all that other stuff. That'll be, later on in life, round about the same time as the birds and the bees and all that crap. It says here, Misty Souter, a substitute teacher in McCalla, saw the celebration of inclusion on social media and recorded the episode to watch with her 9-year-old daughter. She and her daughter were disappointed when the episode, which was still named Mr. Ratburn and the Special Someone, turned out to be a rerun. Souter reached out to APT and used the experience to teach her daughter about the importance of speaking out for the minority groups. I just want her to be aware, Souter said. There's too much going on not to stand up for stuff, even if it's Arthur. I never thought I'd be going to battle for a gay rat wedding, but here we are. Again, it all comes back to, Bible says marriage is between a man and a woman, and that's how it's going to be. This is the ultimate word of God. God wrote this book, and this is the law that we have to follow. Other laws are inconsequential. This is the law we have to go by.
But there was also another one where it said man should not lie down with man.
Now, and if you look all throughout history, the Roman Empire, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Roman Empire, or it may have been Greeks. I can't remember. But there was some ancient civilization where women were used for procreation, men were used for pleasure. That was it. Sex with a woman was only to keep the population going. Sex for pleasure was between two dudes.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, me personally, I enjoy having sex with women. I think that's very pleasurable. So yeah, it all comes back to
the best times of my life having sex with women.
Again, it all comes back to the Bible is the ultimate law here in Alabama. Nothing else matters. And it's time for people in Alabama to wake up and realize that they are living in the past. That may have been fine.
Well, they're conservative extreme.
Yeah, I would definitely,
like you said, the Bible Belt.
Yeah. We don't want Jesus' pants to fall down now, y'all. We got to tighten that belt up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous for sure, and it's embarrassing. Like I said, I'm embarrassed right now to admit the fact that I live in Alabama.
Yeah, all eyes are on it right now.
Oh God. And I'm scared to death that they're going to take that as everybody's watching us, so now we've got the opportunity to teach everybody about the word of the Lord.
How's the cost of living down there? Looks like a nice place to live.
Well, I mean, it really depends on where you are. In the little town that I'm in, I think the average going rate, rent-wise, for a 3-bedroom is about $600 to $700 a month.
Oh, that ain't bad at all.
Yeah,
you got trailer parks down there?
Oh, hell yeah, we got trailer parks down. We invented trailer parks. Come on.
All right. So we're bound to I'll sell this trailer and move into another.
Yeah. Exactly.
I definitely would love to live in a conservative state, a red state, because I never have. I've been to Massachusetts, and now New Hampshire turned blue.
Well, there's definitely better states to live in that are red than Alabama, that's for sure. I will say this about Alabama. We do have some beautiful scenery down here, but that's about the extent of it. I mean, we've got everything from mountain ranges to beaches and everything in between. So, that's about the extent of it. So, I'm going to assume that timer that I heard means I'm running short on time here.
Yeah, we got about 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, then in that case, I'm going to take this opportunity to, again, plug my Facebook page, Two Beards Talking. Go on there, follow me, interact with me. Still in the process of trying to find another co-host right now, so hopefully we'll have somebody on the air with me here pretty soon. But Facebook, Twitter, follow me on there, and share your thoughts with me. I'm all for having discussion, absolutely. So, Jimmy, I want to thank you again for coming on the show with me. And again, you can catch Jimmy and his partner Paul on Pot Talk Friday nights at 8 p.m. I got nothing else. If you got any final words to say about Alabama. All right, well, then we'll save it for another time. Jimmy, again, thanks for coming on. This has been Two Beards Talking. Daniel Sanders and Jim Bell. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, you guys have a good night.